Hello everyone, this is Biribon, coach of the Carioca Krooks, and today we are doing our draft analysis for Hive Season 8. The rules are as follows. National deck, so every Pokemon is, mostly every Pokemon is legal except for Uber stuff. Megas are legal, DLCL moves are allowed, DLC moves are allowed, so everything is legal. Mystical Fire, Latios, stuff like that, and except for Rising Voltage Coco and Expanding Force Lele, those were some last minute bans. Cut moves are cut, so no Pursuit, no Hidden Power, stuff like that. No Z moves, no Dynamax. 11 Pokemon forced for draft, which is interesting because most leagues I've seen run 9 to 11. But forcing people to have 11 Pokemon is cool because there's less power stacking. Drafting is mostly tier based, but there's some point stuff. There's like tiers are broken in two, so there's tier 1A, 1B, stuff like that. And we're on the Widow division. There's 4 divisions. Widow goes from Widow to Mega Beedrill, and they claim Mega Beedrill is the best one, but everybody knows that Widow division is actually the best one. So that's where we stand. And I got towards the end of the order. I think it was 12th or 13th, I forget. And so I could get, I couldn't get like the actual Omega broken stuff, but I got Mega Scissor for my first pick, which is pretty cool. I haven't used Mega Scissor in Gen 8 yet without Hidden Power. I've seen it banned some places, but people seem to be allowing it nowadays. It's fairly okay, I guess. Mostly everything gets fire coverage anyway now because of Mystical Fire and stuff. So it's not that safe anyway. And it's a pretty good Pokemon. It serves really well to give your team just momentum, coverage, removal, and just really good bulk all in a single Pokemon. And it can be a good win con. It can be offensive support. It just with Bullet Punch and U-Turn can support other Pokemon. I don't need to explain Mega Scissor. It's just a pretty good win con in most games. And so at the beginning of the second round, I had an early pick, so I was considering Finny, but Clefable was available. And I was like, round 2 Clefable sounds really good when I already have a good offensive steal. So I grabbed Clefable. Clefable doesn't need a lot of discussion. It's a good pair with Scissor, even though it's not fire resist. It makes a good steal fairy core. And it just provides the support that Scissor doesn't. Gives status, gives rocks, teleport, which is good with Scissor too. And just, it's Clefable. Clefable does a Clefable thing. It's fine, it's good. 10 Latias for tier 1B, which people seem to think it's overpriced, and I actually agree. I think tier 1B for Latias, considering how low points we had, might be a little too much. I may have overpaid for this, but I really like the synergy of having Scissor, Clefable, and Latias. I might be a little bit too heavy on the bulk, but what can you do? I really like Dragon FDS cores, just Fairy Dragon Seal cores, and I like them all to be bulky. I know you don't need to. Sometimes you can get away with semi-bulk or even frail one of them, but I wanted Latias mostly because I like one of my FDS core to be above 100 speed, and Latias, even though it's not the most threatening Pokemon ever, it's still 110 speed and 110 special attack with a pretty good move pool. It gets Bulk Beam, Calm Mind, Sword Power, Draco Meteor, stuff like that. It has new tools in Mystical Fire and Aura Sphere, which are good for Steel types. It has Wish plus Baton Pass now, so my entire Fairy Dragon Steel core gets momentum. So I think that's an interesting combination, and I think it makes my initial core very strong and very hard to break, with good options in both speed and support. And then I wanted a little more defensive support, because I think having a strong defensive core is more important in Gen 8 than it is in 9. So I got Toxapex, and I know this sounds satanic, but it's gonna get better. Mega Scissor, Clefable, Latias, Toxapex sounds basically a stall, like a semi-stall mode with like Mega Scissor Bullet Punch spam to win, which is kind of the core of the team, but Toxapex really helps to switch into stuff, and it's not pressure into any type because Latias and Clefable and Scissor cover mostly everything, and then I have packs to remove pressure from them and just sponge a bunch of hits, even neutral hits, so packs can work in tandem with any of the 3 initial Pokemon that I just mentioned. And it was fairly cheap. It gives me Toxic Spike support, which I love. I love having Toxic Spikes. It pressures a lot of teams. Even those that have a grounded poison, sometimes they can't just live forever unless they have Toxapex, which they can't because I do. And it's specs. It doesn't need a lot of. It's pretty boring Pokemon, but it's good at what it does. It's really good. And then I started to get a little bit more creative because I need offense. I have basically a stall team at this point, and Chandelure was tier 4, and I thought that was pretty cheap for the Chandelure at the time, but it seems that I was the only one who drafted in all 4 divisions, so people seem to ignore it. I can see that it's either forced to run boots or a choice item most of the times, so it doesn't have that much flexibility. But I don't know, I think people sleep on this Pokemon a bit. I like the combination of Scissor plus Chandelure because it gives me fire immunity, which is always nice with Scissor, even though I have 2 amazing resists. I just like removing the pressure, and it gives me like just general fighting resist as well. Not that my team really cares, but it's always good to have a ghost spin blocker as well, since I have Toxic Spikes. And it's a pretty good special attacker. I don't have any burst options on special attack at this point, like a breaker, a nuke button. My strongest special attacker are Clefable and Latias, which can be not strong enough to break stuff. And Chandelure just give me that extra edge with 145 special attack. It didn't gain any new tools outside of boots in Gen 8, but it does what it does. It's surprisingly bulky with max HP and some defense like some mixture of defense and speed investment. It can run Will-O-Wisp, Bank Split, Haze, Nightshade, because it has actually good defenses in 90s, 90 defense, 90 speed def. It also gives me an Infiltrator user, which is kind of cool because might dissuade people to running sub versus me, which is always nice. After Chandelure, I got Obstagoon, one of my favorite Pokemon, added in Generation 8. I think Obstagoon is super fun to run, especially when I have an FDS score that's all bulky and all of them have momentum. I have Teleport, Clefable, U-Turn, Scissor, and Baton Pass Latias, which is legal. I can't dry pass. I just can't pass status, which is fine. Wish Baton Pass Latias into this is just so stupid because Obstagoon just hits so damn hard. It's such a good breaker, and it has really like niche immunities in Immunity Ghost and Psychic, so it can't switch into stuff. And the 4 times weakness to fighting is annoying, but it doesn't actually matter that much. I have like Clefable, Latias, and Toxapex. I really don't think having 4 times weakness to fighting will matter, and my steel isn't weak to fighting either, so I think I'm pretty good. I have enough switches on fighting to deal. And fighting types, there aren't that many that are actually scary. There's like Clefable, Lopunny, and Clefable. There's Gallade, Lopunny, and Mienshao are the only ones that I actually have a lookout for, and Conkeldurr, I guess, with Mach Punch. But Conkeldurr can be dealt with speed and stuff like that. There's not that much stuff out there that I really care, and none of them can really switch into Guts boosted Facade, so it's not like they're hard counters to Obstagoon. Like Facade hits so hard, it's so crazy, and it even gets momentum itself. So it can Potting Shot. I can Potting Shot into my Ghost. If they come with a slower fighting type, I can Scout. It has Switcheroo, so I can burn them with Flame Orb. I can't burn the Megas because it doesn't work like that, but it's still pretty decent. Reckless and Defiant are more or less useless abilities. Most of the times you prefer to run Guts, but you know, maybe I'll fight Webs at some point. Who knows? It's good deterrence. And then I got Donphan, and I actually don't think Donphan is that good a Pokemon. I think it's fairly mediocre for what it is. But because of the way the tiers are set, I had to pick at least 2 tier 3s. And after I picked Obstagoon, there was really not much I wanted in tier 3. There's only Obstagoon and like Breloom, and like Donphan and Breloom, and I decided to go with Donphan because I think it gave me more than Breloom, even though the Spore was actually kind of interesting to run, and Mach Punch is always nice. I think I was good on priority. This gives me priority as well. Nice Shard. It's not the best priority ever, but it's fine for what it is. It checks this like stuff like Dragon Dancer. The dragons are 4 times weak to ice, which is really common. So it's alright. Donphan has a pretty decent move pool for a ground type. It has a Power Whip, Gunk Shot, Ice Shard, Knockoff, which isn't the most common thing. It also got Encore, which is a new tech. It got on DLC, which is cool. Rock Polish Donphan's a meme, but you never know. Sturdy is a nice ability for a Pokemon that has both Rocks and Spin. You can lead with it and just do the thing. Stats are alright. It's not, like I said, it's not the best Pokemon, but at least it gives me a ground type and one with pretty decent move pool. So that's what it is here, and Spin. And then I got Bolton, and the reason I went from the tier 3s all the way to the tier 5s is at this point people were starting to run out of points, and I realized that I was more likely to get sniped in the tier 5Bs, which is the cheapest tier there is. So I started to pick the low tier stuff before the higher tier stuff, exactly for the reason because I considered the likelihood of snipes. I got Bolton because I wanted something fast because, dear God, my team's slow. I only had Latias above 110 speed, and that's not going to change much. But Bolton gives me a 121 benchmark, which I think is one of the best benchmarks to hit because, there's a lot of stuff in that range. Like, Weavile was not drafted, so I don't care. And it's likely to not be because tier 1s are rarely free agent. People usually pick lower tiers when they free agent stuff. Like, maybe they will pick Weavile, who knows. But there's Greninja, there is Tornado Styrian, all the stuff that's around Bolton's range, so you can shed a lot of bulk, Noivern, by having Bolton. And people are saying like they're just gonna ignore Bolton. I don't think that's smart because unless you're a ground type, you really should be careful because Bolton is actually kind of strong with Strong Jaw and coverage. You get Strong Jaw, Crunch, Psychic Fangs, Fire Fang. Doesn't get Ice Fang, unfortunately, but I think that would make it a bit too much. I think that's fine. It still has what it needs to have. It gets Nuzzle, which is really interesting because you can run Nuzzle with Assault Vest, so you normally can't do it. It also doesn't miss, unlike T-Wave, which is also nice. And Volt Switch, for more momentum, even though its special attack's kind of trash. It's fine. You can also run competitive, which is even more webs returns. Not that my team is particularly weak to webs, but at least having a fast mon with competitive is helpful. And it also gets good coverage in good setup options in bulk up, which is it's alright. It can bulk up once and then just tank one hit and shed and do a lot of damage back, and even if it dies, it's still like in scissor range and stuff. So I think that's good synergy, and also check. It's a really good water type check especially for scissor, which is I think water types are going to be one of my biggest problems against this team because I don't really have many ways to break them outside of toxic spikes and stuff like that. But we'll see. We'll see. I think Bolton is going to be a fairly serviceable Pokemon in this team. I think it synergizes really well with the rest of the team. And then after Bolton, I got Gogoat, which is also not that good, but I wanted another ground resist because at this point my only ground resist is Latias. Zygarde was not drafted, so maybe this was not necessary, but I already knew the last 3 Pokemon I wanted to get, and Bolton has really good synergy with the one Pokemon I'm gonna get after it. So, and I'm gonna explain after it. Yeah, Bolton doesn't really get a lot of new tech. It gets Grassy Glide, but I don't see myself using manual terrain, even with Grass Belt being a thing. But Sap Sipper plus, good coverage gets Earthquake, it gets Horn Leech, Rock Slide, and even for just regular Grassy Glide and Wild Charge, Superpowers, then Headbutt. So its coverage is really good for a Grass type. They usually can't touch Seals at all, which is not the case for Bolton, and it has, pretty serviceable 100 attack, 197 special attack, so it can run Surf for like Fire type and stuff like that. And, Leech Seed, it does the Grass type thing. And also has Bulk Up, which is also nice. And it has Milk Drink, which is interesting because it's the only Pokemon aside from Miltank that gets Milk Drink, which is a really good synergy with Gigalith, which is my next pick. And I picked Gigalith because I wanted another flying resist, because my Steel does not resist flying, even though it is generally a decent check with most flying types not resisting Bullet Punch. So, but I still wanted a switch in, and Sandstream is really helpful. Most of my team doesn't care. The combination of Sandstream with Donphan and using Sand Veil is not legal, so I can't run Sand Veil, but that's fine. That's not the reason why I drafted it anyway. Sturdy plus Sandstream is fine for what it is, and I don't have to run it. Like I said, I can run Sturdy. Sandstream is a nice ship on everything. It's good against opposing weather. If it comes, I can set up my own. Most of my team doesn't care at all about Sandstream outside of Obstagoon and Chandelure. Everything else kind of just doesn't give a shit about Sandship, so it's fine. It also gets Stealth Rock, which gives me a third Stealth Rock setter, which is okay. It gets, it just gets the good rock type coverage. I like how it's a rock type that's not 4 times weak to grass and water, so it's actually, and with Sandstream giving it basically a free assault vest, you can actually fairly easily tank a hit from a from a grass or water type. And because its defense is so naturally high, it basically has 130 defense, 130 special defense, or something like that. It's pretty insane. It's got a really good bulk, and it's Stealth Rock Explosion. It has a new tool in Body Press, which is really nice, considering its defense is crazy. So you can run max defense Gigalith with Body Press and do a shit ton of damage, which is always nice. It also has a really low speed in 25, which it's not like good or anything, but it can be helpful versus certain matchups where people run Trick Room and stuff. It's guaranteed underspeed, even stuff like Slowbro, which is alright, can work. And my last Pokemon is Articuno, and Articuno is a really interesting Pokemon. Its stats are actually really good. Like its lowest stats are attack and speed at 85, and everything else is pretty solid. Like 90 HP, 125 special defense is very good, even if it's weak to a shit ton of stuff, and has a 4 times weakness to rocks. Now, due to its access to boots, it can now be used viably, and in my opinion, Pressure is a good ability, and it has access to a pretty decent move pool in Freeze Dry. Freeze Dry plus Hurricane check most stuff. Struggles a bit with Steel types, but I can always turn into most of my team can do fairly well with Steel types. It has triple Axle now, which is kind of interesting because you can run Mind Reader plus triple Axle and guarantee a hit. 120 power, like all three moves will hit. So you get the free 120 base power move if you want to do that. And just kind of a mean threat, but at least it also gets Stab, Ice Shard, and 85 attack is pretty pitiful, but it can work. Now that it has good physical Ice Stab. And it also has U-Turn, which is nice, alongside Roost and Defog, so I can run those options too. And again, these are low tiers. I don't expect like Articuno, Gigalith, Gogoat, Bolton, Donphan. I don't expect these guys to come to most games. They're mostly here to cover the bad matchups. So yeah, this is the team, and the team is fairly solid. I like how I have no repeating types, and I also have one of each type except for fighting, which is pretty cool. Typing wise, my team is I like the defenses a lot. I have either equal or more resistance than I have weaknesses. I only have 3-4 times weaknesses. Fire, fighting, I don't care. I have a ton of bulk, and like my main defensive core all resists fighting. Rock, it's Articuno, who cares? And fire, it's Scissor. I have a lot of resist and packs and immunity, so I'm pretty good there. And the only two types I'm slightly worried about are ground, which I have pretty bad weakness to ground. I have 4 Pokemon that are weak to ground and 2 immunities, but one of them is Articuno and 1 resist in Go-Goat. That is not usually good, but my Steel is not weak to ground, and the Pokemon that are weak to ground are like Boltund and Gigalith and Chandelure, so and Pax. But I'm not bringing like Pax plus all three of those guys, so it's fairly certain that I'm gonna be fine, I think. But I'm probably fine. I can run like Shook Attack and stuff. And the other type is Ghost, but that's just the nature of Draft League. You usually don't have a ton of Ghost resist. You usually have a Dark and sometimes a Normal. And in my case, I happen to combine them both into a single Pokemon, which again is fine. Like, Ghosts aren't that big an issue. The only Ghosts that are an issue are Dragapult, which you're not countering just by doing regular stuff, because Dragapult's borderline broken. And Aegislash, which again, you're not really countering with darks or normal types. Like you need a crazy dark type to counter Aegislash, like Mandibuzz. Otherwise, you're just gonna get close combat and die. So it doesn't actually matter that much. And Gengar was not drafted, so I don't care about that either. And the other ghosts are low tiers, which also barely matter. They're usually either weak or slower than Obstagoon, and if they're slower than Obstagoon, they just give me a free knock on something, which, you know, it's always good. In Rock, again, in Rock types, there's not any Rock types that are relevant, aside from maybe like Terrakion. And Mega Arrow is just gonna run dual Wing Beat anyway and just destroy everything because that thing is broken now. But yeah, I think I'm pretty good. Like, I have pretty solid defenses, and for support too, I have really good support. Articuno can run like Heal Bell, stuff like that. Fable can run Heal Bell, Wish, Aromatherapy. Latias can run Wish, Healing Wish. I got pretty good removal. Like Latias and Scissor are great removal, and Donphan's okay. But I really don't care about Hazard that much. You know, these guys are running around boots most of the time, and the other guys really don't get bothered that much, aside from Spikes. And if I do see spikes coming, then I'll do something about it. But you know, not everything has spikes, so it's not a big issue. And toxic spikes, I can just absorb them with Pex. Pex is the best toxic spikes absorber in the game. And for setting hazards, I'm actually kind of bad. I'm gonna be like, I only have 3 stealth rockers and 1 toxic spike, which means I'm gonna be reliant on toxic spikes a lot, which you don't want to do, because you know, people can just throw their poison type and absorb them, and I don't have like a strong psychic nuke. But you know, you can do something, because poison types, most poison types struggle with Scissor naturally and are set up fodder. So I can go from Pax to the Scissor and set up and do some damage. So it's not, you know, the worst thing in the world. While the types don't look like they synergize too well, I think the team composition is decent enough. And the low tiers, you know, stuff from Donphan, Go-Go, these guys over here, like they're not bad. They're decent for their price. But yeah, this is the main core, and I think the main core is pretty good. It's really hard to break with a single Pokemon. Like Clefable Pax is just disgusting on itself, and then plus these guys, it's just it's gonna be annoying to break my team. It's just gonna give a lot of time for these guys to function, which I think is gonna work really well. So yeah, that's it, guys. Thank you for watching.